booties for black girl nerds.
Key, initially you thought the role of Martin wasn't for you. So what made you ultimately say that I have to do this?
Two reasons. One, when I was struggling to find my next project, because I didn't want to disappoint the fans that were supporting me, I reached out to one of my favorite filmmakers on the planet, Steven Spielberg. And he was very, gracious with his time. We had lunch, and I was kind of asking him, and I said, listen, I'm offered this role. It's Universal Studios picture. I play a real estate agent with this past, and I kind of pitched him the story. And I said, what do you think? And he says, Key, you should do it. It's great. So to get that information from Steven was incredible. And then I went in and I met with David Leitch, Guy Danello, and Jojo Isepo, and the whole 87 North producing team. I realized that they were trying to create a different kind of action hero, not a hero that we have seen many times over the past, but someone that who looks like me, and it doesn't look threatening or lethal at all. But when the situation calls for it, then you go, holy shit, wow, that guy is a badass. And immediately that really intrigued me, because then I realized that, we're trying to do something fun. And from that moment on, I couldn't wait to get on the set and play Marvin Gable.
And I love how these scenes really do subvert expectations, and that's exactly what your character does. And the scenes get really, really intense. Were there moments that really pushed your limits as an actor, both physically as well as mentally and emotionally?
Well, physically, we have 5 epic fight sequences in the movie, and we designed it in a way where it starts a little bit light and funny, and then as the movie progresses, it gets more intense. But I haven't done these kind of action in a long time. So I trained with our guys, even though I trained with them for 3 months, but being on set and doing it was really challenging. And the very first scene that we did was the kitchen fight.
Oh, wow.
And
one of my favorite scenes.
and there were a lot of challenges, it was a lot of fun to do, but I ended up getting a lot of bruises. But then again, I come from a school where when you do these scenes, in order to make it look good, you really have to give it your all. You really have to go at it, and getting a little hurt, getting some aches and pains, it comes with the territory.
You've worked with industry icons like Harrison Ford, Michelle Yeoh. What lessons did you carry from working with those greats to being now #1 on the call sheet with Love Hurts?
I looked at them and I watched how they carry themselves and how they set the tone on the set, being the #1 on the call sheet. They really made everybody feel like a big family. And they make sure that everybody felt like whatever they were contributing to the movie was just as important as them. And the set was always fun. This is why I love making movies, because I'm very lucky. A lot of, almost all the sets that I've been on, they're really fun. Especially when I started on Temple of Doom, for example, we were always cracking jokes. Laughing and enjoying at the same time working. So that's what I try to that's how I try to emulate. It's them, Michelle Yeoh and Harrison and Tom Hiddleston.
Well, congratulations to being #1 on the call sheet with Love Hurts. And I really enjoyed this film, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. Thank you for taking the time to speak to Black Girl Nerds.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the conversation.
Thank you.
Take care. So you've mentioned that Rose has a Harley Quinn-esque kind of energy.
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Were there any other characters that sort of inspired you as you were crafting together and developing Rose?
Oh, I mean, what is that? Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm blanking. I've been thinking about movies all day long because that image of Angela Bassett walking away, like lighting the car on fire and walking away.
Oh, yeah.
Which film is that?
Waiting to Exhale,
Waiting
yes.
to Exhale. That image, like, was definitely
things.
it's all the things. Because literally, that was to me her version of flipping the table. I'm out.
Yes.
Bye. Gotta go. Bye. So there was a dash of that energy in there. To me, I look at this character as like snapshots, right? So I'm inspired by snapshots of Harley Quinn, snapshots of Angela Bassett. She's still doing the thing. Snapshots of like Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith when she's like, "Who's your daddy now?" Like, it's that energy of just like. You're getting it wrong. Do not underestimate a woman. Just don't do it. Like, why?
Love to see it.
Especially us.
Yes.
Don't underestimate us because we are constantly either righting your wrong, saving the world, one little move at a time.
Right.
Or like, come on, just don't do it.
And I got to get that coat too. So
it's cute.
It is so cute. You've taken on such a variety of different roles across different genres. What excites you most about the action thriller space? And do you see yourself continuing down this path?
Oh, I would definitely like to make more movies like this. When I, as a viewer, I do like action movies. I don't necessarily see enough of us at the forefront, in my opinion, as a viewer. I would like more of us. But I remember I watched Atomic Blonde, and I loved the power that Charlize had in that movie, in that film, and doing her own fight sequences. She kicked ass unapologetically. That was also an 87 North production. Like, I want that, but I want it in our embodiment.
Yes.
So I, as an actor, I've never had a problem working my way up and like showing up with the opportunities that I do have to my fullest. But I will say in this space, I'm like, I think we are badass and we can do more. And I think there are many actors who identify in the way that I identify that are like, we're ready. Come at us. Let's go.
And you have the leverage and the clout to be like, yeah, I can do it.
I can.
I got my Oscar, so here.
I wield it appropriately when I deem it to be helpful. But I'm also just like, come on. Like, there's space. It's not like we're asking you to like literally just conjure up real estate that doesn't exist. The space is there. So I think it's time. It would be fun to start building, right?
Absolutely. And I look forward an audience to be building together and a community and watching this film together when we go and see it when it comes out in theaters. So Ariana, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Black Girl Nerds.
Oh, always.
Appreciate you, and thank you for following us on social media all these years.
I love the publication. Are you kidding me? I love this platform. I think it's so important, and you create and cultivate community in a beautiful way, and I consider myself a Black Girl Nerd.
Oh, love to see it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
you. Take care.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
I love your work. Happy Valentine's.
Thank you.
Of course.
We love it.
I was like, you cannot leave without this. Just a little sugar rush for you.
Oh, love it. I'll keep it near and dear to me.
Mwah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you for having me.
Well, Jonathan, first of all, I got to ask you about the Knuckles character.
Mm-hmm.
What was up with the boba tea?
Well, first of all, it's like for anyone that's drank boba tea.
Yes.
I've always had this thing with the straws when I was a kid, and I was like, these straws are actually pretty dangerous, right? So
They are.
I think having Knuckles have it, it was more of a you're trying to subvert like who he is. So it's like you're looking at this kind of charming, elegant guy who's kind of drinking like a kid's drink.
Yeah.
Right. So you wouldn't expect him to be this kind of dangerous, menacing figure.
Yeah. Well, I appreciated that as a avid boba drinker myself, seeing him drink that throughout the film.
But I also thought, those straws were pretty, they seemed pretty dangerous back in the day. So I was,
They were.
So I was just trying to, give him something that's, you wouldn't expect him to use.
Yeah. It definitely subvert expectations, seeing it being used as a weapon in the film.
Right.
How did your experience as a stunt coordinator influence your work as a director in Love Hurt?
Well, when you're because I came up from that background, I was always used to running departments and collaborating with other head of departments. So, becoming from a second unit, I'm already used to that workflow, and it just kind of translated to kind of being a main unit director. But when you're a second unit director, you're coming to a world where the rules are kind of made for you, and then when you become a main unit director, you're creating that world. So at least I had an understanding of, how to deal with other departments and listen to other ideas. So I think that helped me a lot.
The action genre, it's evolved significantly over the years. Were there any specific films or filmmakers or styles that influenced when you approached Love Hurts?
Well, I grew up watching a lot of 80s Hong Kong action movies. I mean, that's what I grew up on. So my sensibility in action is from kind of Eastern cinema. So I grew up watching like a lot of Shaw Brothers movies, Golden Harvest, like Young Jackie, Young Sammo, Yoon Biao, I grew up in I grew up watching that era of movies.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of like my love letter to those movies I grew up watching.
And we definitely see those influences in the film.
That's good.
When the film was in development, I believe it was in development for about 2 decades.
Oh yeah, a long time.
That is a long time. Were there any significant changes done to the film to help kind of modernize it for today's audiences?
Well, the reason I was so drawn to the script, I love the premise, and I love the quirkiness and offbeatness of the characters. So, it was just a matter of like reading it and injecting what I could bring to the story, or my sensibilities into the story. So the only significant changes in terms of first of all, as soon as I knew I had Key, I had to rewrite it. So we had to rewrite it and rework it so it felt more like Key's character, like his personality. So that was the main thing. But I just look at a script and I go, how do I inject my sensibility into this? And that's where it started.
I mean, you've had this really stellar career as a stunt coordinator, a stunt work director. How did that help influence and help inform your work as a director in Love Hurts? Like specifically the work that you did in John Wick and the work that you've done in Black Panther.
Well, every time I used to approach like action sequences or fight choreography, I even though it's like visual, it's more like a physical performance, it's still visual dialogue. So I still approach it as if it was like a regular dialogue scene. Like, let's say or a story, it's like a 3 acts. So whether the fight scene was 10 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, I still incorporate that structure. So I was used to kind of telling a story in short form, and then and I also, when I used to choreograph and action designs, like I always go, what do you learn from this fight scene that carries over to the next? Then that carries over to the next. So that kind of way of thinking, that process was already kind of built in me.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Black Girl Nerds. I really enjoyed this film.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate your time. Thank you.
Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.